Alright, we are going to work on a Django API project to work with a React Native application, mobile app. So I've got I'm using Atom for my IDE. It's more of a text editor than it is an IDE, but it's what I prefer. PyCharm and VS Code are pretty popular ones. I've got my folders open. I've got my command prompt. You are going to need a Python environment already installed with Django admin, and then you will need a React Native environment or an Android Studio environment set up, but that'll be in a later video. So we're going to start with creating a Django project. So we're going to do Django admin, start project, and this is going to be, we'll name it first, let's see, Django, actually I'll do uppercase, first Django. We'll just leave it at that. So we'll start it, and it'll create a bunch of files and folders. You'll see it right here. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this into my folder structure. So when you first create a Django project, you've got your manage.py file, which is it's how you run things. It's how you run the Django as well. And then you have your first Django folder, which includes your settings and URLs. These two are the ones we're going to use the most as of right now. So let me open this up over here. Manage.py you can close out of. We don't need it right now. URLs we will be configuring at another time. But for right now, we're going to add some apps. And if you haven't installed them already, you may need to, let's see. All of this will be in a GitHub repo at some point with a requirements.txt file for you to install with pip, and so you can manage all the installations there. So for right now, allowed hosts, we want to allow local hosts. So this is the IP address, or because local host we can use local, that are allowed to connect with Django. So if you have the site to a domain, you might add, poyadev.com or something like that. You'll add a domain to there. For right now, localhost is good enough. Installed apps. So we are going to add a few here. We're going to add Rest Framework. This is one of the libraries you'll have to install, and Corsheaders. I use these packages for just about every Django project we have. Rest Framework works with creating like tokens and user authentication. Corsheaders is cross-origin protection. And then, let's see, middleware, we're going to add, a Corsheaders middleware. Middleware. Okay. And then, let's see, first thing about URLs, templates. Don't have to worry about that too much right now. Okay, database. This is where you'll add, like, if you want to use Postgres or MySQL or any of those. For now, because we're in testing and just kind of the beginning phases, a SQLite database will work just fine. And then scroll all the way to the bottom, and we're going to add some stuff down here. So I'll create some empty spaces. Alright, so first is the Cors origin whitelist, which actually, so if you're doing a React.js web frontend, you'll need this. Otherwise, I don't believe we'll need that at the moment. So we can clear that. Let's see, Rest Framework. This is some stuff we'll need right here. And I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this. You can copy it out of the GitHub repo. But basically just some permissions. Are we allowing everybody to connect? Are we, are classes permission based or whatnot? I typically say allow any, and then I create my own permission verification. And then we're going to use JSON Web Token authentication, session authentication. So we're going to use those. And then I'm going to copy and paste this as well. This is the last kind of piece of this. It's JWT auth. So that's for JWT tokens. They're going to expire in 3 days, but they are allowed to be refreshed. So somebody can pass in a token that's expired and refresh it, or that's not expired and refresh it. Oops. So I saved that, and now that file is good to go. So if I come over here to my command prompt, we're going to do, let's see, Python manage.py run server, and that should be, oh no, I've got to move directory. So right now, we're going to cd into first Django, and then make sure that manage.py is in the folder. Okay, so now we can do Python manage.py run server, and datetime is not, okay, so one more thing we've got to add here is import datetime, because in the JWT expiration we use datetime, and it looks like we're gonna have to do, we might have to do from datetime import datetime. Let's see. Alright, so now it works. It's saying we have 18 unapplied migrations, so we'll quickly migrate those right now. We'll do Python manage.py make migrations. It's going to set up the migrations, and we're going to do Python 3 manage.py migrate. Alright, there we go. We've got a lot of that's from like the Rest Framework, Django's user system, just setting up all the databases, and you'll see right here a SQLite database has been created. So now we're going to do Python manage.py create app, or let's see, start app, I believe. And now we're going to create let's do a user API. So we'll do user API. Yeah, we'll do uppercase. And now I created another folder right here, user API. So now down here in installed apps, we're going to add user API. We'll save that. We'll open this, and now we have some different files. So we have file for models. This is where you're going to create your database tables and such. I don't know why Outlook is opening. Views, that's where we're going to create some of the API views. And then we're going to create a new file. I'm actually going to copy the urls.py from first Django into here. And so you'll see urls.py. And we can kind of clear out of that. Alright, and then for now we're going to leave this empty. And I'm going to add just one basic route. Let's see. Is that? Alright. So I'm going to import a few. We're going to not use admin here, but we are going to use a few. Okay, so from .views import. So in the views class, we'll create a class for this, but we'll just call it test view. And so from here we will do, let's just do test view.as view, and we'll kind of leave this at where it's at right now. Okay, so that was the urls.py for user API. But okay, so go to first Django. It's gonna be your first. When a request comes in, it's gonna go through the urls.py for first Django first. So now we need to tell it what URLs to send to user API. So let's go here. Okay, so we're going to import path and include, and then path. I'm working off the template. You'll see the template in GitHub, and I'm kind of working off that template right now. So we'll do API. This is our API. We'll do v 1.0 because this is our first version, and then because that's our user API, we're going to do user and one slash. So that's our API, and then we'll do include user API dot URLs. So now it says if so I'll show you right here. Okay, so your normal Django is going to run on a localhost 8000, just right there. Admin is going to run localhost 8000/admin because of that right there. So now, if we want to access the views from user API, we will do localhost 8000, and then we'll use this right here on top of that. So that's kind of what our URL structure looks like right now. Those are what's available. So if they use this one, it'll direct to this URL's py file, and it'll add this to the end. So if this is test, then in order to access the test view, the URL needs to look like localhost 8000 API v1.0/user. That's all from the previous urls.py file, and then we'll add test, and that will get it to here. Okay, so now we're going to save that, and in views.py we're just going to create a super simple view, and it's going to let's see, we're going to import API view from Rest Framework, and we're going to import response. Alright, then we're going to do class. So we're going to create a class for test view, and it's going to be API view. Now, you have a few options for this. So we're going to create some functions. You can do a post, you can do a get, you can do a put, and there's a few other options, but these are the primaries. So post is if I want to send something to Django, I'm going to use a post request to create an object. If I want to send something to Django to update an object, then you're going to use put. And if I'm just getting information from the server, I'm going to use the get. So for the test view, we're just going to use get because we're just simply testing this out. So def get, and then let's see, we're going to import self, the request, so the original request that comes in, the format equals none. And then we're simply going to print out, it's going to print in the console, API was called, and then we're going to return a response. So response, and this is going to be, we can kind of do whatever we want here. I'm going to say you made it, and then status equals 200. So the primary statuses are going to be, actually we can do 201, 200, 201, 404, stuff like that. So this is super simple API view, and let's go ahead and give it a shot. So Python 3 manage.py run server, see what happens. Okay, it runs, no errors. So now we're going to test it. The best way to test APIs is with an application called Postman, and I highly recommend that you get this for building and testing APIs. So we're going to create a tab over here. We're going to do a get request. Okay, so you can see all the options: get, post, put, patch, delete, blah blah blah. We're going to do a get, and then we're going to call localhost 8000 API v1.0 user. And then this is going to be, let's see, what did we set it as? Test. So now when we send it, it sends a response, you made it. It was 201. Okay, so 201 is created, so we want to change that. And then you can see in the console, API was called. Okay, so I'm going to change this to a 200. And then it updated, we'll send. And now status 200, okay. So we've just created our first view, our first API call. That's an API call right there. And then with Django, there's an admin side that you can play around with. But we're not going to cover that in this series.